I guess we're live. Let's do the sound check. Yasmin, say something. Okay, I can't hear Yasmin. People who are watching now, can you type whether you can hear Yasmin or me for that matter as well? Can it be, Yasmin, somewhere with your mic, the connection? No, still no sounds. Okay. It's interesting. So can you hear Yasmin? Angela, can you type? So Yasmin, keep talking and just tell me whether it's just me who can't hear Yasmin, which, you know, it's a very funny situation. I will be then asking you questions and you can answer without me knowing what you said. So this is, I thought Mercury retrograde is not on. So let me see. People who are watching now, okay. Can you type that? So this is, no, I can't hear you as a viewer. Yeah, can't hear. Oh, okay, Yasmin, maybe I will try to talk about you if you reconnect back, I don't know, with mic, without mic, because it's, yeah, we need you. Okay, I will keep you entertained. The reason why I asked Yasmin to join me as on interview, and I haven't done it before, but I run 100 Magical Creators, a membership group where on monthly basis we so on monthly basis we have a guest expert sharing the expertise and showing very practical tips that business owners can apply immediately. And we've seen brilliant results. So our conversations when all the recommendations were implemented. Yes, if you can speak louder.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Hallelujah. Yes.
Yay!
Oh, it worked.
That's brilliant.
The old approach of switch off, switch on always works.
It works a treat every single time.
Yes, exactly. So I was just starting saying about that we have guests on in our 100 Magical Creators, but this is the first time when, because I'm also testing Be Live, I'm doing this preview interview in order maybe to attract more people to Magical Creators to try it out, and also giving a preview to existing members so they know what to expect. And we already received a lot of questions, and I will let you introduce yourself. But Yasmin's magic is to be able to work and create successful business in less than 20 hours a week. And this is also a topic for our Thursday conversation. And for workaholics like I, right? Well, it would be useful to know. However, like, it's my choice. If I work a little bit longer, nobody will be affected by me. But Yasmin is a mom of 3 children, 3 small children. So you have to find a way. And it will be also great for workaholics to know how we can be more productive and have a life outside work as well. So over to you.
Okay, great. Inga, thank you so much for inviting me to be here and talk to your magical creators. So thank you so much, first of all. Yep, I'm Y.Vorajee. So I'm the creator of Tiny Time Big Results. So that's Tiny Time Big Results. And it is about helping small business owners run a profitable business in less than 20 hours a week. I always caveat this by saying that I don't even have 20 hours a week. I pretty much work 2 to 3 hours a day because I have 3 young children. So at any stage, my baby might come in because he's very independent. So he's just pottering around doing stuff, but he may come in. And so he's going to be 2 in September. And then my daughter will be 5 in July. And my son, my eldest, will be 8 in September. So they're all young. My daughter starts school only in September. So my time is very limited. And Tiny Time Big Results came about when I realized that the work that I was doing with my clients was actually helping them to be more effective, more organized with their time. And it was really about how to get things done in those little pockets of time. And like you say, Inga, you know, if you work longer, then there's nobody that's going to be affected. Whereas if I work longer, then there's going to be someone shouting at me to make dinner, shouting at me to help them with their homework, or play with me, or let's go for a walk. And you know, so I do have to be really disciplined with how I do my business. But I see Tiny Time, and I call it Tiny Time, I see it as a really unique opportunity, not as a challenge, but as a unique opportunity as to how can you create that successful, profitable, and productive business without working long hours. You know, you see all the, I suppose, the gurus like Gary Vaynerchuk, and, you know, they're always talking about the hustle and hustle 24/7. And to be honest with you, I just can't be bothered with that. That just is not it just doesn't float with me, I suppose. You know, I want a quality of life, you know, so whether it's that spending time with my kids, whether that's going traveling and having nice holidays, whether it's just actually, you know, pottering around in the garden, or, you know, just doing other stuff. Now, having said that, I love what I do. So I like to do it. But because of my situation and my circumstances, I just have to be, you know, I have to plan my time really well.
Exactly. You mentioned the word discipline. I know that this is a necessity, but what are the techniques, or one, just share that, where you use discipline to stay to your day? Yeah.
Okay. So interestingly enough, I suppose one of the questions I get asked a lot, similar to yourself, is, you know, how can I be more productive? Like, how can I get more stuff done? And I always feel like that's the wrong place to start. I always want to take a step back and tell me how you make money in your business, first of all. Because the reality is, if you have a business model that means that you're selling time for money, and, you know, you always have to be present, you have to work, you know, you have to be physically present to make money, then for me, that's a challenge. Or if you need a huge volume of people coming into your business all the time. So I have an example of one of my early clients. She had an ebook that she wanted to sell, and that was her business model. And she was selling the ebook for like 99 cents. And my question to her was, well, how much money do you want to make every month? And, you know, she says, I want to make 3,000. And I said, okay, so how many ebooks do you need to sell? And she looked at me and she went, uh-oh. She said, I didn't think this one through. And I said, yeah, you need to sell about 3,000 books every month. And she had a list of 150 people. And there's a huge disjoint there, because you think, okay, it becomes a volume issue, it becomes a number issue. And so what I like to do is to think about, well, how are you making money in your business? Because when you have the business model right, then your time management follows that, rather than trying to be really productive. But there's no point being really productive if you're being productive with doing the wrong things. And I think of that as having your ladder against the wrong wall. You know, stop climbing that wall. That's the wrong wall. Make sure that your business model is set up, first of all, to make you that generous revenue, whatever the number is for you. You might want to make 1K a month, or 5K, or 10K. You've got to make sure that the business model is actually set up to allow you to do that without exchanging your time for money.
Can you repeat that, and I will make a quote out of it? So there is no use of being productive doing wrong things, or you said it better.
Oh, so there's no point being productive if you're being productive with the wrong things. So it is like having that ladder against the wrong wall. So make sure that you're set up to be profitable, with the business. And then your time management will follow, and it will be so much more simpler for you. I know some of the questions I was looking through in the Facebook group about, some of the questions that people had. And this is one of the most important things, like the most, I suppose, foundational principles of Tiny Time Big Results, is make sure that you set up your business model correctly first. So one of my favorite ways of creating a healthy revenue for my business is by working with clients one-on-one with premium packages. So kind of creating a really valuable package. I don't package based on time spent with a client. I package based on the value that someone is going to get from working with me. So that's one example. So you could create amazing premium packages. Another way that I love to bring revenue into my business is through online programs, that are delivered, say, in a group format, or it could be a self-study. I'm not a big fan of the self-study because I believe that people, they need to implement what they're learning. And so often we buy courses and then they just sit on our hard drives and, gather dust. And so I like to implement or incorporate an element of accountability into my programs to make sure that people do actually follow through. There's only so much I can do. It is up to the people to actually, take action. But if you want to see results, you have to be willing to take action.
Exactly. And interestingly enough, today I tried to count how many programs I have bought, and they are somewhere in digital, folders. And I think I've counted up to 6, right? And they are brand new, almost untouched. And, you are quite right. It's if you don't implement, so you don't value them. And it's great to have coach who will help you. Hello.
And this, as if on cue, there's the baby.
Yes, so this is just like a demo how it happens for you on everyday life. And I'm so happy that he made an appearance, because I've seen you doing your live streams with, with the baby. And I guess because today we are 2, he's a little bit shy because I'm looking back at him.
Well, it's so funny because I'm breastfeeding, and he comes and all he wants to do is breastfeed. And so I'm always making sure that nobody can see, it's fine. But he just, and then he's happy, and I just had a client call before this, and he did exactly the same thing. He came in, just sat down, had a little feed, and then he went again. And so this is my reality. And I suppose what I love about doing business like this is that the people who are in my community, the people who choose to work with me, know that I have a baby at home. And they're very, they're like, oh, and they're like, oh, my client said to me, she said, oh, my child has spilt milk, and he's just tidied that up. And I said, and we understand those challenges. We understand that life is not always, neat and tidy. And I had a friend of mine, and she said that her coach just kept saying, well, if the kids come into the room, just send them out. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. I can't send him out, and so for me, it is really about making this work for me. And, and thankfully it does. You can see a little hand.
Absolutely. And, when you feel happy with your model, so people who are your people, they will accept it, because you don't provide less value being with the baby.
Not at all. I mean, if you see any of my Facebook lives, I often get more views when I have the baby. Not that I use him for that reason. But it's reality. And I think that, especially in social media where, you'd be forgiven for thinking that everyone is, has this slick lifestyle. And I was like, it's not. I said, I'm in the 3rd bedroom of our home. This doubles up as a bedroom and as an office. The baby's always with me. This is real life. And I think it's important that people see that. I'm not going to try and hide it, because like you say, the people who will either be repelled by that or they'll be magnetized by that. And that's one of the core things that I talk about is, to there's kind of three key areas that I really focus in on when it comes to client attraction and making money, because I know that was some of the questions that people were asking about, you know, how do you prioritize tasks? So there's three key things that I'd love for you to kind of think about is, first of all, it's really making sure that you have that compelling marketing message, you know, the message that people get when they hear it. And the message that you then share, you know, you share wherever it might be, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or, you know, networking or events, conferences, that type of thing. Then secondly, it's about having a solid and proven client attraction and conversion process. So how you know, get people to come into your funnel, you know, what free gifts do you have? How do you nurture those people in the short term? How you nurture those people in the long term? These are steps I cover in the free video series that I have on my website. You know, how do you know, because people aren't ready to buy when we want to sell something. They're ready to buy when they're ready to buy. So when that happens, I want my name and what I do to be at the front of their heads, you know, thinking, yeah, I need to contact Yasmin, you know. So and then it's interesting. I find that a lot of people focus a lot on client attraction, but then they don't spend a lot of time or enough time looking at conversion. How do you turn that free prospect into a paying client? And I think a lot of people just wing it, where actually it needs to be a very clear process about how you do that. And then the third thing is building leverage into everything that you do. So leveraging your offers, so kind of similar to what I was just talking about with premium packages and online programs, digital assets. So, but also thinking about, you know, do you need to delegate some of your tasks? You know, I've used VAs on and off. And, you know, I'm going back into working with another VA to be able to take some of the admin things away, because as business is really booming, and I took kind of a little break after I had the baby, booming, business is doing so well at the moment. I was like, okay, I physically can't do all of these things, so I need to delegate those certain tasks, admin tasks. I am literally this week finalizing the first draft of my book, which will be published later this year. And then later this year, I'll be running my Tiny Time Business School online program following the launch of the book. So these are key ways that I leverage and build leverage into my business to enable me to be able to do this and still serve my clients, serve my community. And the reality is, Inga, my business keeps me sane. When I'm surrounded by 3 children all shouting at me and roaring at me and get me this and get me that. My business keeps me sane.
Absolutely. It's so amazing. I've just had 2 questions and suddenly forgot both of them. With VAs, remember now, with VAs. So when would you recommend that people look for the help in terms when they outsource, from your personal experience?
Yeah, I always find that, no, don't shut. What I find is that we tend to look for help later than we should. You know, we keep saying to ourselves, it's fine, I'll do it. And I know I've done that as well, where I'd be like, oh, no, it's fine, I can still do it. But what I would do is, my experience, I've had some bad experience with VAs as well. And the biggest lesson for me was delegate one thing at a time. You know, so delegate one task at a time. Your VA, like for the technical, the technical things that you might need to do in your business, one person is not going to be able to look after everything for you. They might be really good at customer care. They might be really good at credit control, or they might be really good at Infusionsoft. So what I would recommend is, if you've never delegated before or you've never outsourced before, start with one task at a time. You know, so if you do a weekly blog, you know, get someone to upload that blog for you, and I suppose test it that way. But I would, you know, always make decisions from the position of, okay, where am I going in the next 6 to 12 months? And where do I want to be? What support do I need right now to enable me to get to that point? And it's a really important question, because it gets you thinking, okay, so, you know, and ask yourself that question. What if I suddenly had a rush of people, imagine you were on Oprah tomorrow and suddenly you had everybody wanting to work with you. Would you be ready for that? Would you be ready for that? Would you be, like, so if, for example, I was on Oprah tomorrow, not that I am going to be, I'm on Inga's program. If I was on Oprah's program, I would run Tiny Time Business School as an online program, and that would be available, and I could have hundreds and thousands of people on that program, and that would not, and I wouldn't be able to say that I couldn't take advantage of the Oprah effect. Okay, because there was a novelist, there was a writer. I remember he was featured on Oprah's book club, and obviously on the book club, everyone wanted a copy of this book, and he wasn't ready for it. And I remember, like he wasn't able to take advantage of that. And so it's a really good question to ask, would I be ready for it? So start putting structures and systems in place in your business.
So what I hear is, be ready to become an overnight success.
The overnight success that takes years and years and years.
Yes, but very often we put years and years of work, right? We are not ready to that moment when it pays off. And it can pay off like suddenly, exactly. Like you can appear on the show and suddenly everyone is interested in you, but you can't cope with that demand. So exactly. I think my biggest takeaway is to become ready for overnight success. And I know that overnight success is, it measures in years, but you're quite right about that. Very often we put the work, but we are not ready to reap the results.
Yeah. Be Oprah ready.
When you operate already, yeah, exactly. And, when your book is ready, you never know. It can be recommended by Oprah's book club. I started doing my little predictions recently. So you heard here first that Yasmin will be featured in Oprah's book club. And on that topic, how do you find time to write a book?
That's a great question because there's a really interesting story behind that. I've been writing this book for like nearly 3 years now. And I've been toing and froing and leaving bits behind and then kind of going, oh, no. And it was interesting. I had a conversation with an editor at the beginning of this month, the beginning of May, and she edited a sample of my book for me. And she came back with loads of questions and I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I've been writing the wrong book. And I went, oh no. So what I actually did was I started again. I didn't completely scrap the other bits. I took the bits that I think actually they still apply. But because my message has evolved in those 3 years, what had happened was I'd made a bit of a quilt of a book, like, a little bit here attached on, a little bit there. So I recreated my whole book outline and just started writing at the beginning of this month. And I'm now up to 24,000 words. And I've probably got maybe another 10,000 words left to write. That's the plan. The reality is, for me, the focus has been, I need to get this done because I have 5 test readers ready at the end of this week waiting to get my manuscript. That, I'm telling you, is focusing my mind. I crawled out of bed at 6:15 this morning in the hope that I would get an hour and a half of writing before everyone else in the house woke up. And I know that I don't want to let them down. I've asked them to get the feedback to me, within a week. So I'm giving them a tight deadline and they've all committed to it. So I don't want to let them down. And then I have like a timeline. So when they've done their reading, they've given me their feedback. I have some time and then to amend, and then it goes to the editor. And when you sign with an editor, you have to make that deadline as well. So for me, it's around urgency. It's around particular deadlines. And I think sometimes as business owners, we can get a little bit lax. I know I certainly can about deadlines. And we say, oh, it's fine. I'll just do it next week. Oh, it's fine. I'll just put that on the long finger. But when you are, I suppose it goes back to that whole question of business model. Like if you're only trying to deliver some key deliverables and you're keeping it really nice and simple, then it's much easier to deliver on those. So like this week, I said to myself, the book is the biggest focus. Now I have client calls and meetings in between, but that is my focus. And so I'm committed. And I know that once this week is done and I've, once all of that's happened, it's done. Then I have a book that I can publish at the, and be ready around October time.
That's fantastic. So Angela is asking a question. You are talking about foundation building, the importance of building foundation.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I get evangelical about this stuff, Inga, because I made so many mistakes. Like you and I have known each other for a long time now. And, you remember when I started out and I've made so many mistakes. And, I suppose I've had so many lost income opportunities and spent a lot of money that I didn't have and, in courses and, mentors and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, it's about having a very solid foundation of what is it you do, who you do it for, how do you do it, what's the process that you take people through from finding out about you to nurturing them, to inviting them to actually work with you. And all of those things take time. And I think that's one of the key things is like, be patient with the process. Having a successful business is not an overnight thing. You build on it. But for me, it's about building momentum, because once you get the momentum built, now it's so much easier. But I think it really does start with that powerful marketing statement at the beginning, the statement that tells people what it is you do and who you do it for. And it's like what you stand for. So when I talk about the fact that I help small business owners run a profitable business in less than 20 hours a week, I talk about the fact that it's because of my family. I wanted to balance growing a business with raising them. I am so passionate about being there for my children and spending time with them and helping them, have an amazing life experience. They're the things that drive me. And I've been able to incorporate that into what I do in my business. So I think it's almost like a vehicle of what I do and who I am as well. And I was a trainer and coach for 12 years in corporate before I started my business. So I've been doing this for about 18 years now. So it's a part of who I am. And I think that the more you can bring you to your business, again, the easier it is. Like I did a talk in front of 100 business owners last week. And a part of me was thinking I should probably wear a suit, to make it, look all smart and everything. And I went, I don't do suits. So I left that back in corporate. I turn up in jeans, a nice top or a jacket, and that's me. And so take me as I am. And I was so comfortable. And, thankfully I got great feedback as well.
Excellent. So I know we had we got questions from members, but we will cover this on Thursday. And I've just published a link to Yasmin's free resources, so please feel free to check it out, sign up. They are great videos. I have signed up for your VIP list, waiting for your book. And I'm really looking forward to reading it. So for those of you who want to go into deeper conversation with Yasmin, I will post the link how you can join 100 Magical Creators. Even if you join just for 7-day trial in order to take advantage of listening to Yasmin and you pay just £1, I'm happy with you to have great experience. And then if you choose to leave, you can leave. But I hope that you take a week to explore it. And by the way, Yasmin, you've just changed the course of my newsletter. Before this conversation, I was going to write about the weekly reviews, but my subject line was different. So now my subject line will be, are you opera ready? So I'm talking about this aspect. Like it corresponds with what I wanted to say. But now I want to bring the opera angle into the vision.
Great.
So
perfect.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So thank you for taking your time. I know that you don't have much of it, so I really appreciate it. So those of you who watched the live show or the replay, if you found that it was enjoyable and useful, please do share. I really appreciate it. And I see Yasmin on Thursday, and everyone else is welcome to join. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Inga. Bye.
Bye. Now I need to find the button and the broadcast.